mild to moderate coffee consumption. Even decaf should be considered part of a healthy lifestyle, say researchers. New research suggests that there may be heart health and mortality benefits from drinking all different types of coffee, not only regular ground coffee, but instant and decaf as well. The findings were published on the 27th of September in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology. Drinking 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day was associated with equivalent reductions in the incidence of cardiovascular disease and death from cardiovascular disease or any cause, said study author Peter Kistler, MBBS, PhD, head of clinical electrophysiology research at the Baker Heart and Diabetes Research Institute in Melbourne, Australia, in a press release. The results suggest that mild to moderate intake of ground, instant, and decaffeinated coffee should be considered part of a healthy lifestyle. For most of us, this is welcome news. About 3 out of 5 Americans drive Inc. coffee every day, and the average coffee drinker consumes just over 3 cups per day, according to the National Coffee Association. So, grab a cozy seat, maybe a cup of coffee, and let's explore together. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city or state in the comments. We'd love to connect with you. If this resonates, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video on life's big questions. Let's build a community where we can share, reflect, and find peace together. Stick around, because these facts might just touch your heart and ease your mind. Researchers examined the coffee drinking habits of nearly 450,000 people. The purpose of the study was to investigate how drinking different types of coffee may influence heart health, including incident arrhythmias, coronary heart disease, congestive heart failure, and ischemic stroke, as well as overall survival. Investigators used data from the UK Biobank, an international health resource that collected blood, urine, and saliva samples, along with detailed health information for research on a wide range of illnesses from over 500,000 people between 40 and 70 years old throughout England, Wales, and Scotland between 2006 and 2010. The study included a total of 449,563 people with a median age of 58 years old, and 55.3% were women. To be included in the trial, participants had to be free of arrhythmias or other cardiovascular disease at baseline. Participants completed a questionnaire asking how many cups of coffee they drank each day and whether they usually drank instant, ground, such as cappuccino or filtered coffee, or decaffeinated coffee. According to their responses, each person was then grouped into one of 6 daily intake categories, consisting of 0, less than 1, 2 to 3, 4 to 5, and more than 5 cups per day. The most popular type of coffee in this study was instant, consumed by 198,062 participants, 44.1%, followed by ground coffee by 575 people, 18.4%, and decaffeinated in 68,416 participants, 15.2%. There were 100,510, 22.4%, non-coffee drinkers who served as the comparator group. Coffee drinkers were compared with non-drinkers for the incidence of arrhythmias, cardiovascular disease, and death, after researchers controlled for several factors, including age, sex, ethnicity, obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, obstructive sleep apnea, smoking status, and tea and alcohol consumption. Outcome information was obtained from medical records and death records. People who drank any type of coffee had a lower risk of dying. The authors observed several benefits among participants who drank coffee. During the median follow-up of 12.5 years, 27,809, 6.2%, of the participants died. All types of coffee were linked with a reduction in death from any cause, with the greatest risk reduction seen with 2 to 3 cups per day, which compared with no coffee drinking was associated with a 14%, 27%, and 11% lower likelihood of death for decaffeinated, ground, and instant preparations, respectively. Cardiovascular disease was diagnosed in 43,173, 9.6%, participants during follow-up. All coffee subtypes were associated with a reduction in incident cardiovascular disease, with the lowest risk among people who drank 2 to 3 cups a day, which compared with the no coffee group was associated with a 6%, 20%, and 9% reduced likelihood of cardiovascular disease for decaffeinated, ground, and instant coffee, respectively. An arrhythmia was diagnosed in 30,100, 6.7%, of participants during follow-up. Ground and instant coffee, but not decaffeinated, was associated with a reduction in arrhythmias, including atrial fibrillation. Compared with non-drinkers, the lowest risks were observed in the group that drank 4 to 5 cups a day for ground coffee and 2 to 3 cups a day for instant coffee, with 17% and 12% reduced risks, respectively. Some of these findings aren't surprising given the several recent studies supporting the heart health benefits of coffee, says Jim Liu, Maryland, a cardiologist and assistant professor in the Division of Cardiovascular Medicine at The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center in Columbus. Dr. Liu was not involved in the study. However, I was surprised to see caffeinated coffee was associated with reduced arrhythmia. This goes against the traditional notion that coffee, as a stimulant, can cause palpitations and arrhythmias, he says. It's important to remember that this study excluded patients with existing cardiovascular disease or arrhythmias, such as atrial fibrillation, so the results may not apply to that patient population, says Liu. Although the study is very large, it's also observational, which means that the findings don't prove that drinking coffee actually caused the heart and longevity benefits. This research adds to a growing body of evidence suggesting coffee consumption may have a protective effect on the heart. A large meta-analysis of 21 studies found that moderate coffee drinking was associated with a lower risk of coronary heart disease in women. Coffee contains over 100 biologically active components. That morning cup of coffee is more than a ritual, it's a lifeline to the day. But what if the benefits of your daily brew go far beyond a caffeine kick? New research reveals that coffee, even decaf, is a powerhouse of over 100 biologically active compounds that may safeguard your heart and extend your life. This isn't just about staying awake, it's about thriving. Dr. Peter Kistler, a leading heart health expert, explains, caffeine is the most well-known constituent in coffee, but the beverage contains more than 100 biologically active components. It is likely that the non-caffeinated compounds were responsible for the positive relationships observed between coffee drinking, cardiovascular disease, and survival. In other words, the magic of coffee lies not just in its buzz, but in its complex chemistry. Those antioxidants, polyphenols, and other unsung heroes in your cup, whether it's regular or decaf, work quietly to protect your heart and reduce the risk of early death. This discovery resonates deeply for those of us who've savored coffee for decades, perhaps reminiscing about diner mugs or home-brewed pots shared with loved ones. It challenges the old assumption that caffeine alone defines coffee's value. Instead, it invites us to see each sip as a small act of self-care, delivering benefits that science is only beginning to fully understand. For the generation that's watched dietary advice evolve from low-fat fads to heart-healthy diets, this insight feels like a reassuring nod to a familiar habit. Your coffee, whether bold or decaf, isn't just comforting. It's a scientifically backed ally in your journey to age well. As we navigate our 50s, 60s, and beyond, prioritizing heart health becomes non-negotiable. The fact that decaf offers similar protective effects is especially heartening for those cutting back on caffeine to manage blood pressure or sleep. Coffee's diverse compounds, working together like a symphony, remind us that health doesn't always demand sacrifice. Sometimes, it's found in the simple pleasures we've cherished for years. So, the next time you pour that cup, know you're not just indulging, you're investing in a longer, healthier life, one sip at a time. Coffee drinking shouldn't be discouraged, according to researchers. Our findings indicate that drinking modest amounts of coffee of all types should not be discouraged but can be enjoyed as a heart-healthy behavior, said Kistler. Even beyond heart health, There's evidence that regularly drinking coffee may decrease the risk of type 2 diabetes and melanoma and have protective benefits for the brain and liver. Whether or not drinking coffee is a healthy choice depends on the individual, says Liu. Drinking coffee, in low to moderate amounts, has generally been shown to be safe and does not carry any major long-term cardiovascular health effects. However, if someone is drinking excessive amounts, or to the point that they are feeling poorly from bothersome palpitations, sleep deprivation, or other adverse effect, then it would probably be best to cut back, he says. As a stimulant, caffeine can have short-term effects on the heart, such as increasing blood pressure and increasing palpitations, notes Liu. Long-term, chronic caffeine use may slightly increase blood pressure, but for the most part, caffeine consumption has not been shown to have any major long-term adverse effects to cardiovascular health as long as it's used in small to moderate amounts, he says. So, friends, as we sip our coffee, whether it's bold, decaf, or somewhere in between, let's celebrate its hidden powers. Those over 100 biologically active compounds aren't just science jargon. They're your heart's allies, quietly working to keep you thriving past 50. That morning brew you've loved for years? It's not just comfort in a cup, it's a small science-backed step toward a longer, healthier life. For those of us who've shared countless coffee moments, from diner chats to quiet porch mornings, this news feels like a warm hug from an old friend. Now, let's keep this conversation brewing. Drop a comment below. Tell us, are you a decaf devotee or a full caffeine fan? What's your favorite coffee ritual? If this resonated with you, give that like button a tap, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next dive into life's big questions. Share this with your coffee-loving crew, and let's build a community where we explore health, wisdom, and joy together. Until next time, keep sipping smart and living well. See you in the comments.